Hey, this is Praccy. So, the Street Fighter V beta is finally out on PC, which begs the question, is it shit? Well, no, it's not. Actually, it seems decent, and initially I was pretty worried because on first impressions I hated most things about the game, and now I only hate a few things. First of all, let's go quickly over the performance details for the PC version of the game. If you're not interested, just skip ahead. There's an annotation somewhere. Click it, and I'll see you in a minute or two. But to summarise, the performance has been shockingly good. It's important to note that my setup is major overkill for this game, so I can't speak for how it'll run on non-high-end systems. There's a fair few graphical options to play with, and right now you can see the differences between the highest possible settings and the lowest, and hopefully that will help people with Fisher-priced computers work out whether the game will run. If you're still not sure, consider seeing how Mortal Kombat 10 or Unreal Tournament work on your system. Since they use the same engine, the performance should be similar. As you should be able to see, the main difference is that the stages look horrendous on low, however the characters still look mostly fine, but with pixelated shadows. I've heard mixed reports as to how well optimized the game is, but my general opinion is that there's probably still work to be done. Another minor problem is that my fight stick isn't picked up by the game, so I had to use joy-to-key to get it working, which was a little annoying. However, Xbox controllers seem to be picked up automatically and they work just fine. Most importantly, the netcode seems better than just functional. Games where it's smooth feel great, at least as good as Street Fighter 4, and everything's nice and responsive, which is handy because the gameplay is much more fast-paced, so it's completely necessary. The problem is every so often you'll get a game where the opponent starts teleporting around like a fight scene in Dragon Ball Z, and it's completely unplayable. But there's no shortage of games, and it's gotten to the point where I can barely finish about 3 combos before the automatic matchmaking finds me an opponent. So pretty much everything works. Not perfectly, but enough to be playable. Some games have been released in a worse state, so I'm optimistic that this is going to receive the polish it needs before release. Moving along to the gameplay, I'm not really blown away, but it's fine. I don't know whether it's going to hold up over time, but ultimately we'll have to see. It's simultaneously both harder and easier than Street Fighter 4, which makes my thoughts a pain in the arse to explain. First of all, things are a lot faster. Not ludicrous speed like Marvel vs. Capcom, but perhaps closer to something like Street Fighter Alpha 3. This makes reacting to things a lot more challenging, and arguably makes it safer to take risks, since there's less time to punish mistakes. However, that's balanced by the execution being a lot easier. SF5 follows the same link combo system seen in SF4, but they're about twice as easy to pull off. Theoretically, that means that this game should be perfect for new players. In practice, I can see this taking a very different turn, since good players are eventually going to be able to always convert single hits into massive damage, because the damage in this game is mega high. Within about 5 minutes of playing, I had found a combo for about 50% life, and it wasn't even difficult. On the plus side, that's an issue this game is only going to encounter further down the line. At the moment, nobody has a clue what they're doing, and most players, including myself, are just flailing around desperately hoping things will work out. Which is more or less what I've been doing my whole life anyway, which probably explains why I'm doing a little bit better than the average player. The new V-trigger system replaces ultra combos, and it's an overall improvement to the game, though many Ken players will be lamenting the fact that they can't randomly throw out ultras for free wins. The new system rewards a solid, methodical playstyle and adds a lot of flavour to each character since they all have their own unique V-triggers. For example, Karin's unlocks her Rekka abilities, which can be used for increased damage in combos, or for launching extremely confusing mix-up attacks. And on the other hand, Armika's V-trigger simply gives her the ability to call in her tag team partner for a very damaging attack which can be weaved into combos or used to punish the opponent. Basically, V-trigger isn't as easy to use as ultra combos were, and I'm not sure how well that will sit with new players, but it's impossible to deny that it adds more depth to the game. So I think the gameplay is an interesting but still safe departure from the now incredibly, unbelievably stale Street Fighter 4 formula. There's a stronger emphasis on solid mechanics like blocking properly and not spamming out hugely unsafe moves just to receive harsh anal violations in return. That does come at the price of sacrificing zoning and controlling space, however, which has been toned down somewhat. though it was admittedly far too important in the previous iteration of the franchise. I don't think that's a bad thing though. One of the main complaints about Street Fighter 4 was that it was boring and players spent most of their time dancing back and forth, too scared to commit to anything other than their safest normal attacks. So at the very least things are looking up for spectators, if not the players. To quickly talk about some of the things I don't like, perhaps the main thing that sticks out is lots of the characters look weird. Some more than others, and it's off-putting. I can mostly narrow this down to personally not enjoying the new semi-realistic art style, which is different to what I'm used to, but some of the cast really irritate me, mainly because of their faces. Mainly because of Ken's face. Fuck that guy. He has a really creepy aura about him, and his hair looks like it's made from bananas. Also, the lighting can be really bizarre sometimes, with shadows looking unnecessarily overdone. I don't know about you, but when it comes to fighting games, I would never once thought, this is great and all, but I really wish there were shadows all over the place. I don't like the music either. This is completely subjective and some people will love it, but I really don't. I'm not finding it particularly memorable. It just sounds like generic guitar music to me. Maybe I'll learn to love it in time. I didn't like Third Strike's soundtrack at first either, so that just confirms that I might have awful taste. In terms of the gameplay, I'm mostly okay with it. A few things need tweaking, and I'm fairly certain they'll be fixed before release. If I'm gonna nitpick, I'd say that the stun gauge decreases slightly too quickly, and I honestly believe things would be better if the damage were reduced just a little. All in all, this beta has been much better than I expected, though I did have unrealistically low expectations. Do I like Street Fighter V as much as 4 yet? No. Maybe at some point though. There's a solid framework here in place to create a genuinely great game, but there is definitely more work to be done in terms of balancing the game and generally adding more stuff. That about wraps it up. I'm gonna go and get super shit on again. Just before I made this video, I had to stop playing the beta because I was raging so hard I was using about 30 swear words per minute, and that's when you know I'm having fun. That also might be why my friends don't like playing with me anymore. See you next time. Let me know what you thought of the beta if you played it.